It's said that for a person in this world to be truly happy, they need three things: someone to love, something to do, and something to hope for. For joy is not something simply that happens to us, it's a conscious choice, and the one we have to keep choosing every single day. But can we choose joy, or indeed can we be truly joyful in and amongst the trials that life has a habit of sending to us? The trials that plunge us into grief that seem impossible to navigate, or the days marked by chronic illness, both physical and emotional, that take their toll on our health and our well-being. With all these trials, how can we experience the blessed release of joy? Welcome to this week's Hope from the Hills. The Bible says this: "Count it all joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kinds." That's James chapter 1 and verse 2. To count it all joy is simply to consider. It's choosing how you respond to what is presented to you when challenged with the difficulties and issues on the journey of life. When confronted, for example, by suffering, some might call it an injustice or unfair and respond accordingly. Some might consider it to be the judgment of God, believing he is angry with them and turned against them. And yet others may see it and seize what they consider to be an opportunity to demonstrate their resilience and strength of character to fight back and overcome. Put simply, the way we respond to trials is more important in determining the outcome than the trial itself. Times of trials spawn a myriad of responses: anger, revenge, despair, giving up, or becoming motivated. However, the overriding primary response in a countercultural world of God's economy is joy. So what is the true definition of God-ordained, multi-dimensional joy against the one-dimensional, man-centered understanding of happiness? Happiness has its roots in the soil of emotions, and to that end are our natural reactions to situations and circumstances around us. Joy, however, is liberated from being dependent on circumstances and is rooted in the ability to be content, believing that God is working all things for our good. The difference essentially then between the two is that while we love the high that comes from happiness, true joy is steady and dependable, fashioned and shaped on the anvil of experience, faith, and a liberal scattering of heartache. Trials are part of this life, and perspective in times of trial is not only paramount in enduring hardships, but essential for releasing joy and the opportunity of future glory. I consider that our present sufferings are not worthy of comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. That's Paul writing to the Romans in chapter 8 and verse 18. Imagine the satisfaction of not giving up when life feels or is grown dark and you feel that you've stood firm rather than becoming fearful and transfixed on the noise and the wind and the waves of the life that's around you. You fixed your eyes on Jesus and knew joy because of the glory promised you by God that is to come. The pathway to both hope and the true expression of joy transverses and travels through both perseverance and character. And in the midst of our personal trials, we are both established and strengthened as we wrestle and contend for joy, not in vain, but believing that God has a plan for each one of us, letting faith lead our minds, elevating us to belief and liberating us to a place and position of fully trusting in him, because he'll never fail and he'll never forsake you. So when it comes to the definition that the Bible gives us for the true essence of joy, the hope of salvation is where you'll find its roots. Man's joy was destroyed when sin entered the world, and only through salvation in Jesus Christ do we truly have joy that is restored. Though you do not see him, yet believing you rejoice with joy inexpressible and the full glory, receiving the end of your faith, the salvation of your souls. That's 1 Peter chapter 1 verses 8 and 9. Everything in the Bible tells us about joy is indelibly linked to the looking ahead and beyond the circumstances and situations that we're in, ahead of life's trials, and ahead to a life after the very one that we're living. Whether we believe it or not, this world is not our home, and the complete perfect gift of the fullness of joy is yet to come. For God says this: "Then you will call upon me and go and pray to me, and I will listen to you, and you will seek me and find me when you search for me with all of your heart." I'll see you next time.